Maybe you're following in the footsteps of your parents. Perhaps you've been inspired by your favorite automotive show, or maybe it's just in your blood. Whatever path led you here, SP Tools respects your decision to join one of the most valuable professions in the world. We understand the challenges you face with being a student tech. The amount of knowledge needed to achieve the level of success you deserve is daunting. We know the challenges of placement after graduation and your desire to make the best decision possible for your future. With so many distractions, it can be challenging to keep focused on learning and graduation. We get it, and the last thing you should need to worry about is how to acquire affordable solutions to the tool needs of your new career. That is why we created the SP Nextech Student Tech program and dedicated an entire website to students, teachers, and schools. We offer some of the most competitive pricing available for professional automotive tools and equipment with a lifetime warranty on most products, backed by exceptional support. Enrolled students can receive up to 50% off retail on all kit and individual items. Any products on the SP Tools USA website are eligible for the Nextech program, and there's no limit to what you can order. You'll also receive free ground shipping on orders of $250 or more and a lifetime warranty on all hand tools. You will be able to purchase at student pricing for up to 6 months after graduation, because we know once you start your new career, you will quickly need to add to your tool arsenal. Make sure to register today at spnextech.com to see the fantastic deals we have for our valued students. And also be sure to check us out on social media as SP Tools USA. We can't wait to work with you. Welcome to the Cutting Edge Garage Podcast.
So this week we're with Kyle, aka Rust Belt Mechanic. Kyle, thanks for being with us today.
It is my absolute pleasure to be here, Lee. I appreciate it.
So we've gone through a few changes since the last time you did the podcast, and for everybody out there, what you're going to see going forward is Kyle's going to be kind of a staple here on the podcast. Sometimes just he and I talking about things automotive related. Sometimes just sitting in while we have other guests, and he'll have his own line of questions for them. But you'll be seeing Kyle more and more on the podcast. So, Kyle, let's start with the changes that have happened since the last podcast we did. Couple changes in your life. You want to walk the guys through that?
Oh yeah, lots and lots of changes have been going on since the last time I've been here, and since the last time I haven't been able to really post a whole lot on YouTube either. For all of intensive purposes there, I decided to make a really big change in my life. I have been wrenching full time on at the dealership for it was like right on 13 years, and decided to make a big leap and leave the dealership. Did a video on that one, and was able to help out some students in doing that one, but decided that was something that I needed to change in my life, and I ended up coming here. Working for good old SP Tools. So,
couple questions there. Number one, why the departure from actively turning wrenches?
Honestly, first, anybody who's a mechanic knows for a fact that you're not planning on turning wrenches for the rest of your life. Like, when you do it, you're just like, all right, I really do enjoy this stuff, but at the same time, it's not going to be feasible for me to be able to do that. My body's not going to be able to handle that once I'm past 60 years old.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Right.
And for most of the mechanics that I've always met who have been doing it later on in life, how many of them are like aching with their knees and their back, and for all intents and purposes,
arthritis.
Yep, hurting for that amount. But that really wasn't the main decision why. That was just one of the limiting factors to why I was doing it. The other main reasons why I ended up saying that I wanted to leave was, I guess, working there in the dealership, there's only so far that you can go. There's only so much more things that you can do in the dealership. Yes, it is an exciting thing that you get new things to work on just about every day. But I was pretty much flatlined out at what I could do, what I could earn, where I could go. I was pretty much the highest paid tech in the dealership and in the area. So there wasn't really any more room to grow where I was at that point. So this posed the opportunity of major growth and me being able to do something for the automotive and the technician community tenfold of what I could do there in the dealership.
And some people may misconstrue that as a reason not to get into this business. But actually, contrary to that, it's actually one of those opportunities where you can explain to people that there are many career opportunities in automotive. So going through a trade school, which we're going to talk about today, going through a trade school, starting out as a technician, that doesn't mean that that's where you have to stay for the rest of your career. Now, that opens many doors, so you can become, obviously you can turn wrenches until you can't turn wrenches anymore, and then, that knowledge is always going to be valuable as a shop foreman or something like that. There's service advisor, there's service manager, fixed ops directors. Just in the dealership environment, there's technicians that go on to open their own businesses. There's technicians that have ended up in the entertainment industry,
kind
TV
of
shows.
Entertainment industry.
Well, I'm not even going to answer that because probably many
They figure out how much money that they're
entertainment.
really making, and they're like,
That's right.
wow.
Yeah, so ultimately, even though you've left the dealership, it doesn't mean that it wasn't a good plan
Absolutely
to get
not.
into the business. Do you have any regrets
No.
from going through trade school and becoming a professional technician?
No, and I told that to literally everyone that I've talked to so far, that I would not change my career for anything of what I've done in the past 13 years. I wouldn't have changed any of my schooling that I did. Some of my purchasing habits,
Maybe.
Hindsight is 20/20,
Right.
always. So I wouldn't have done any of that, but I would have gone through the same exact thing. I would have gone through the same trainings. I would have been in the dealership in the position that I was in for as long as possible. And as a matter of fact, if I was to go back into that day, I would tell myself, hey, work balls to the wall and do as much as you can. Get as much certifications as you can while you can early on, and it'll pan out for you.
So we tackled question one, which was why, why leaving. Question number two has to be why SB Tools. There's a lot of, I'm sure that there's a lot of opportunity that your YouTube channel has presented. Why did you choose SB Tools versus going somewhere else to do something else?
That was a very big decision. The YouTube channel brought forth a lot of opportunities that I never really would have thought that would have popped up, if I wouldn't have had it. It really wouldn't have. I never would have met, you guys, the company, wouldn't have gone through any of the processes that I would have. I wouldn't have met other companies, been able to grow through just dealing with and meeting with other people and other companies that I've dealt with before. And it brought forth a bunch of opportunities along the way that eventually led to where I'm at here. So I wouldn't have changed anything from what I would have done, but coming here was a pretty big decision. But I enjoyed it.
Are you nervous?
Yeah.
You're what, 1 weekend? Not quite a weekend?
No, I was pretty nervous at first, and that was just because, not because I was nervous for the job that I was going to. I'm a pretty confident kind of guy. Like, if I have my mindset, I can get the job done. I really can. And I had the mindset perfectly in place, but at the same time, it's just the difference in the whole atmosphere. I'm going from working in the dealership status, working flat rate, balls to the wall all the time, straight at it, and at the same time, now I'm going to a more along the lines of an office kind of job. Still needs to be high paced from what I'm used to. So it was kind of a different change of pace in things, but it's been a welcoming change.
Cool. So tell everybody what you're going to be doing for SP.
So I left the dealership to be able to come here and to head up the student Nextech program. Pretty much, I'm going to be a student advocate for SP Tools, helping students, schools, and everything get all kinds of discounts and all kinds of deals for starting off in your automotive careers. I know when I started off, that was the biggest stressor by far. was how much money you were spending. And being able to go through this with the SP Tools program, being able to get that much of a discount for students, it was able to build on what I was already doing on my YouTube channel. If anybody who watches my YouTube channel didn't know, I've always been a massive proponent for student education, getting your early education in, all the training that you possibly can, and helping out the students as early as possible. I don't know how many times early on in my YouTube career that I would see all kinds of, I will say, older folk within the industry beating down on the newer techs and telling them that coming into the automotive industry was the stupidest thing they ever did. Well, you know, I personally, after being in it for 13 plus years, can say that no, it's definitely not a stupid decision at all. It can get you places, and you make your career what you want it to be. How much effort you put into it is going to get you places.
And it's an awesome industry. So, you know, that's obviously someone that, for whatever reason, looked at what they did as a job and not a career, and they didn't like their job.
That's exactly the point that I made pretty much every time. Just because they hate themselves and they hate the decisions that they made, then that should not dictate your decisions as a student, as somebody new coming into the automotive career. There's so many facets to the automotive industry that you guys would be able to get into, that the options are absolutely endless. And being able to jump in, especially if you're jumping in early, right after high school, or you're going into the technical college thing, 2-year degree with the automotive industry, that's a huge thing, getting in early. And making the correct decisions, especially financially, is one of the biggest things that anybody would have to say, promote, and help the younger generation to be able to learn earlier on, especially if they didn't learn that at home or in the school system that they went to.
Right. So, is that something you're passionate about?
Very much so. As a matter of fact, while I worked at the dealership, I was a shop foreman there for about 4 years, and I trained 5 or 6 technicians from a younger age, and Captain Ron, who's an old guy who decided to switch his career. He's not really that old, sorry, Captain. But switching them over from
So define old. What is old?
Older than I am. He was 37 years old when he started into the automotive field. By all intents and purposes,
that's old.
A lot of people do not get started into the automotive program at that age. But he did it, and he made it work. It's possible. It really is. And I got that question all the time. That If you're doing something that you're passionate about, then it's not too late.
So what have you been working on for the last week?
What have I been working on for the last week? First off, it's been different going to the whole office atmosphere and not being go, go, go all the time. So that's been where my brain's been at.
Rest assured
Hurry.
that we are breaking you in easy, because I don't think anybody behind the cameras has any confusion about my ability to find work for you to do. Is that fair to say, Bill?
I think so. I took offense to that, Kyle. We are very high paced here. You will be broken up
properly. We're just being nice right now.
Put it this way. I mean, some of it would have to be because I am down here away from home, and there's not a whole lot else to do that I'm used to in the area. So, you know, a lot of the work I've taken home with me in the evening and, you know, kind of gone through. And I've been putting toolkits together for students, a couple different tiers for automotive, diesel technicians. I've even contacted quite a few people on getting aviation kits put together. Pretty much building the student Nextech program from the ground up. You have to have a really good base of things to be able to build on. So that's kind of what I've been working on, and also working with Jesse and you on trying to get better tool kits and better tool deals for the students coming up. I know a lot of the other manufacturers, they have all kinds of different programs out there, and why the SP one is better is what I've been learning massively about, is that they have their student availability for the discounts across the entire board. So I didn't just have this small list of tools to be able to work with to make the kits. I had the entire SP tools arsenal to be able to make these kits. So making these kits for the students was not a very hard decision. You know, it really good tools at really good prices, and I wasn't limited by what was on this small list.
So where'd the inspiration for the kits come from?
Pretty much what I started with as a technician at the school that I went to. I went to Sinclair Community College in Dayton, Ohio, and every one of these schools, they have a general syllabus tool list that somebody in an office chair made up 14 years ago in some back office that generally was not a technician. So
because it does include a foam hammer, correct?
Yeah, it literally included a foam hammer, which I kept in my toolbox. I didn't throw it away or didn't trade it in.
Have you ever used it?
I used it the last day before I left on my way out of the dealership, and that wasn't for any kind of real purposes. I threw it at our parts counter person and said, "Here, something to remember me by," and I smacked him upside with the hammer.
Good.
First and last time it was used.
Good. It's a parts guy, so it's got to be a foam hammer because they can't handle anything stronger than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Generally, I don't condone violence, but Greg
for
kinda
parts guys,
it.
they earn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He deserves it here and there.
It's awesome. So,
But
so
yeah, building. Anyways, I was just going to build off of that one. Building the kits compared to what I was used to there. There's unused kits. There's unused tools, and having that wasted money was something that I wanted to get away from massively in our area. I wanted to be able to get the highest amount of value for every student in their general area. So making the general, the basic toolkits is there, but I also want to be able to contact schools and contact different universities from here on out to possibly even build custom toolkits for those schools, because wasted money doesn't do any good for anyone. The student, the school, nobody. It's just wasted time, wasted space in a toolbox, and that's inefficient. We don't want that.
So you have the experience of having gone through a tech school.
Yep.
My passion for this and the reason that we take this program seriously is I just have a passion for getting the youth engaged in the trades. And I think it's important, trades of all types. I obviously am passionate about automotive, and my business is automotive related. So it makes sense that we're doing something in automotive. But, to me, it doesn't matter whether the youth of today does a plumber apprenticeship or, an electrician, whatever. I think it's critically important to get the youth engaged in the trades. And one of the biggest challenges that the automotive guys have is, what does it cost me to really truly get started? What is the investment to really truly get started in automotive? And the few amount of youth that we have joining the trades, sometimes they're looking at other trades other than automotive because there's a higher cost to getting started.
Now, when you're getting started into the field, that is the one difference between the United States and quite a few other countries around the world have. A lot of the other countries, the employers are mostly used to buying the tools for the employees or the students coming in. However, here in the U.S., it is just a known thing that if you're going to be working on cars, you're going to be working on trucks, diesels, whatever, you have to own your own tools. Because I guess the mentality would be, your tools, how efficient you can and will be with those used tools. So you have to have them for pretty much any job. The very first thing that pretty much any employer is going to ask you on an application or in an interview is, do you have tools to complete said items in this job?
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to answer honestly. AJ, our tech support manager, just interviewed a guy. And so the prerequisite, we're hiring somebody in tech support, right? Bilingual tech support. And so in the body of the description, it says must speak bilingual English and Spanish, fluently. And there's on the application and Indeed, it says there's a checkbox that you have to check off that says, yes, I am bilingual. And they go through the interview, and a couple minutes into the interview, the Spanish comes up. And the guy's like, I don't speak Spanish. And needless to say, that ended the interview.
Quite quickly.
Yeah. I have interviewed guys as a shop owner and as a service manager. and you ask them, do you have your own tools? And the answer is yes. And they pull up in a 4-door car and grab a tackle box out of the back, and they've got a claw hammer and some hand saws.
Now, yeah.
And two adjustable wrenches.
We'll put it this way. I've seen that one. Now, for a student technician coming in, there's some leniency there. Now, for not knowing what kind of tools are necessary for certain jobs.
Right.
Yeah, I totally get that one. But if you're hiring somebody for a known position of what they're supposed to be doing, like, hey, I'm signing on for, like a level 2 to be able to do front end work, and you show up with a 5-gallon bucket full of tools, generally the standards are not going to be set very high for them.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, exactly. But with the students coming in, that's where we want to be able to give them as much of an opportunity as we possibly can. They're already being beaten down by, the system coming into like I said, the older technicians are ragging on them, said you shouldn't be doing this. So they're already beaten down there. You're worried about tuition costs. So you're already paying thousands of dollars in tuition. You've got all of your travel expenses because most of the students don't live really close to schools.
Right.
So you've got your travel back and forth and or any of the housing. And then on top of that, you come to find that, I have to own all of my certain tools. And if you're not in a specified apprenticeship program with a certain manufacturer or whatever dealership or shop you're working at, then you may not be working under an apprentice or under a supervisor to be able to use his or her tools. And you're pretty much stuck at the mercy of exactly what you have.
Right.
And that's where the Student Nextech program will be coming into effect to be able to give them a little bit of a leg up in getting them the professional tools that they're going to need for their job at discounted rates up to 50-60% off of the normal cost. So that's where we really need to shine for the students, because they're the solid, future of the automotive industry, and getting them started off on a good career path with the correct tools and to be able to afford to have the tools and not eat ramen noodles every single night of their life, I think it's pretty important.
Well, they got to eat ramen noodles at least a few nights, because you got to pay. You got to pay your dues. You just got to.
Don't get me wrong. There was weeks starting off in my career where microwave popcorn and ramen noodles was a weekly standard for it.
Absolutely. So, you didn't start in automotive, did you? You
No.
started in criminal justice.
Absolutely. Actually, I had a couple of different school choices right there out of the bat. I started off first with computer programming, just because that's what my dad had done. Figured out real quick, sitting in front of a computer screen for multiple hours out of the day is not really easy for me. I could be standing and doing it here and there, but that's not what I wanted to do. Second off, then I was going to be in photography. I went a whole year into that one. Black and white digital photography. I went through a whole year of that one and decided, no, I really don't want to do that either. And then I got started into criminal justice. And as a matter of fact, I was 1 quarter shy of getting my actual diploma for criminal justice. And I had started the police academy. And this decided, nah, I don't want to do that either. So I really wanted to work on cars. Plus all of my mentors in the whole police academy thing had kind of fallen out, and it was just not really that simple of a thing for me to continue on, and it just wasn't what I really wanted to have, and I didn't have the passion in it anymore. So working with my hands was necessary.
So then you do the school change. You go to Sinclair. You're going to do automotive, go through the program, graduate, go to work for the dealership, and have been there until now.
A couple of dealerships.
Yep.
I went to one, went to another one for 7 months, and then came back. Yes.
And looking back on that experience, would you do anything different? Not necessarily in terms of career choice, but from that path that you go down from being the student to entering the workforce to, master technician, and where you were the day you rolled out of the dealership. Anything that you would do different?
If I was to go back and tell myself exactly what I have done throughout the 13 years, there would be a couple of changes in there. Something that would help my career and my life out earlier on would be to be more frugal in the spending. The fact that after you get out of school, the tools are still going to cost a massive amount of money. So maybe purchase more tools while you have that student discount, because you're going to need them later on down the road. If this is a serious thing for you, getting the student discount at that much off is definitely something that you're going to have to look forward and to using. And then just to make better decisions when it comes to tool purchases, not having that brand mentality aspect of the tool truck all the time is something that you have to be able to understand as a younger person and as a student, that there are tools out there that you don't have to have the Snap-on biggest, best $400 set of screwdrivers to get the job done. It's not necessary. A screwdriver gets the job done, especially in the beginning portion of it. Now, later on in your career, when you're doing more hours, making more money, you can make that decision to do some upgrades. And most tool brands, all of them are going to have that difference in, price changes. So I would have told myself to be a little bit more frugal on the tool purchases early on, and even for all intents and purposes to do more certifications faster, because earlier on in your automotive career, you don't have experience. So that's one of the two things that most employers look for is, do you have experience and do you have training and certification?
Right.
Well, right out of school, you're not going to have experience. Not going to happen. So what can you do? You do have the ability to go and do as much training as you possibly can. You can flood yourself with ASEs doing all of those even while you're in school. Yeah, you may not be able to get the certifications until the 2 years internship is done, but you can take all the testing and you can do all the certifications through whatever manufacturer you're working with right off the bat. So getting those certifications right off the bat opens more doors for you faster. So that's about the only other things that I would change in that aspect of my career. Literally everything else from that point on, I've always had the mentality to do more, grow, get better, be the best person in that point at my career. I always told the students that I was training that if you don't plan on being the best at your job and at your career, then why did you get into it?
And that goes for anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you're a janitor.
Yeah.
If you don't have the passion to be the best janitor that you can be, then you need to wake up and go find a different job.
Exactly. If you have that mentality, if you have that mentality that, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to be an okay technician. Yeah. So there's some of those things where I'm just going to be like, yeah, can't see that from my house. Not really. You're not going to get hired and you're not going to do very well at that point in your career or ever.
Yeah, you've got to bring, if you want to be good at anything, you've got to bring the passion. And if you don't have it, then you need to go find something else to do. I read an article somewhere, and I want to say it was on LinkedIn. I don't remember. But it talked about the amount of money that was actually invested yearly into training people to do jobs they hate. And and the part that's crazy about that is if the person doesn't have passion for the job that they're doing, then they're just not going to be good at it. And they're certainly not going to be as good as somebody that is passionate about doing that particular job.
Yeah, growth is a major thing when it comes to the automotive industry. If you're not, just like if you own your own business, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yep.
And the same thing can be said for the automotive industry. If you are coming in and you're working on newer cars, better cars all the time, cars and technology are constantly changing every single day. You have to go through training. You have to go through technology updates every single month, every single year. There's reasons that these dealerships have so high of standards when it comes to training and their online recertifications. Literally, Chrysler, every single month you had to go through a different Master Tech training course to be able to understand some of the new technologies that come out and some of the new known bad things that were coming across the line, whether it be, some kind of manufacturing defect or a software issue, or how to properly diagnose a certain new system that was a high warranty turnover rate. If you're not getting in on that new certification, that new technology right when it comes out, then there's no point at you being the master technician within the industry.
Now, long before we met, you were already actively engaged at Sinclair and other schools or other programs, right, with kind of being a mentor or spokesperson, advocate, if you will, for the student tech programs that are out there. So this role that you're going to play with SP is obviously something that you're passionate about. Why don't you talk about some of the differences between the Nextech program and what you experienced as a student and what was available to you?
Well, when I went in as a student, and there were very few choices. When we got there, the only choices pretty much were Snap-on and Mac. That was the only two choices at the school at that time. Now, granted, this was 13 years ago, but at the same time, that's all the choices there were, and since that's all that was presented to me, that's all I thought that there was available. The internet, yes, was there, but it wasn't that big of a platform to stretch across to be able to reach out and say, hey, there's a lot more available things there. These bright, shiny tools are flashed in front of your face, and that's what all the cool technicians and everything have. So that's what I absolutely have to have, the brand magic that they are flashing in front of you. And that is not something that the technician really needs to focus on. They need to focus on the availability of the tools at the affordability that they have to them. And with what I went through in school and what I know now I'm able to build those building blocks of the SP Tools Nextech program to something that is easily obtainable for the beginning student technician. Something that they're going to be able to do is easier financing. They're going to be able to build their kits, custom kits, a whole lot easier, is what we're planning on doing for this one, and getting them at an easier way and an easier rate. That's going to be something that's going to be big across the SP Nextech program, and I plan on hopefully building this to something where it's going to be easily obtainable for what they need to do later on in the career as well. There was some points of the programs where when I went to school, they only offered you a certain small amount of tools, and that's all you had to choose from, and that was it. Same thing goes with toolboxes. If you wanted a bigger toolbox, I ordered more tools, couldn't fit it. They said, no, you got this toolbox is what you got for the student cost.
So the argument would be, playing devil's advocate for the tool companies, the argument would be, the franchise agreements, making sure that there's that there's business there for the franchisees. Being a former Snap-on franchisee, I can speak to that.
Now, if you know my view on franchises, then anybody and everybody would know that I really don't care a whole lot about those. And I know if that steps on my own toes from here on out, I know what technicians and what students have gone through and what they're going through, and giving them the best opportunity to at least to start things out. I understand that later on down the road, there's going to be more needs for the tool truck, and having that opportunity and having the tool truck there was something that I still used up until the last day before I left the dealership. I literally bought a tool the day before I left.
One of not the oldest customer that I have, but one of the oldest customers that I have when I started selling tools and equipment was a guy that was just getting started in business. He didn't have a lot of credit, and he didn't have a lot of cash. He had a ton of needs.
Or wants.
No, he was solid on the needs, and he was trying to make something go. And most people had overlooked him or ignored him because, he's credit challenged at the time. And he was cash strapped at the time, trying to start a new business and go out on his own and being underfunded and, all the things that lead to this probably isn't a good idea for me to get involved with, or there's just not enough money here for me to get involved with. And I help the guy a little bit at a time. He runs an extremely successful business today, buys a ton of product from just about everybody that I've ever been involved in, or any company. And he's not supporting that company, he's supporting me. And it's that mentality that we bring to the Nextech program as a company. My thought process is less about how much money we're making off of the students and more about giving them a solid foundation to start their career. And the idea is they're going to remember us down the road. This is going to be a lifelong process of them buying tools, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want them to feel like they're another number in the system.
Correct.
They're just stamp, move the next one on. Stamp, move on to the next one.
Right.
That's not what we want the students to have that feeling like. And when I went through school, that was the feeling. You got this choice or this choice, one or two, A or B. And that was your choice of things to be able to choose from and go through the program. Now, how many times did I, have going through the program? Then the instructors looked at, you really don't need that stuff. Yeah, you're not gonna use any of that. Then what was the point of me even wasting my time and money on this? And that's what we have to be able to connect with that individual student better and easier to get his tool wants and needs understood. And that's where we're going to have our hands untied compared to the other tool companies, where we have the full gambit of the tool collection to be able to offer them at a student discount.
Right. Yeah. And kind of fun to have that freedom.
Absolutely.
To be able to put that program together, huh?
Absolutely. It was a whole lot easier for me because
so how did that approval process go?
I guess it went pretty well. All I got was, hey, looks good to me.
Yep, that'll work. Yep, let's run with it.
That'll work. Let's go. And it took me a whole day and a half verifying costs and everything. And it was funny going down through these tool lists as I was building it. I'm like, I was trying to stay calm and collected, not getting that something shiny syndrome. Yep, they want this. Oh, I would definitely want this. Nope. Hold back. You have to think about the needs rather than the wants of what I've been through for the last 13 years, and resetting that mentality was a little bit more difficult to start off with. But at the same time, I was able to rein things back and put the students' needs in front of the whole collective, everybody's got to make a lot of money attitude at the same time. So having that entire tool list available made it a lot more simple for me to be able to get in and make a custom tool list for students, basic as well as a little bit more advanced if you wanted to get something that wasn't just the small basic kit, and as well as toolboxes also. And so I'm really looking forward to the new toolboxes that we helped to design over the last couple of months. They're going to be coming out here hopefully by mid to late December. And that's going to be an option too that we're going to be putting through to the students for the discounted cost as well.
So we talked a little bit while we were out earlier about feedback to companies, right? So 13 years of turning wrenches. You were in school, what, 2 years? Was it
Yes.
a 2-year program?
Yeah.
So 15 years of being a tool buyer, if you will. When have you received a survey or please tell us how we're doing, give us your feedback on the program and how it's working, or is there a way that we can improve? How many times in 15 years?
None. We were talking about that, and I thought about that, and you think about everything that you purchase nowadays. Literally everything that I purchase online, which is a large amount of things that you have right now. Every time you get something new, you usually get an email or some kind of a flyer or something in the mail that asks, hey, can you rate us or can you survey us on the service that you got on ordering? How well was it? And the product. How well did it work for you? How is it working for you? And I think that that is one thing that really needs to be brought forward in the tool industry, because as a YouTuber, that is where I got the whole aspect of here's your tool and how was it and how well has it worked for you, because I got all of the comments whenever I did a review on a certain tool. Then I got that commented review from thousands and thousands of subscribers on the YouTube channel, being able to point out that, yeah, I had that thing for 3 months and it was a piece of junk. But tool companies don't have that. They don't put that forward. And why shouldn't we? And I think that's one of the things we really need to.
And we will. And,
Yep.
and most importantly, when we get the feedback, if we're not doing it right, we have the opportunity to adapt, and we have the opportunity to adapt quickly compared to much larger companies. It takes a long time. Snap-on's a big ship. You turn the wheel, and about a year and a half later, you actually see some kind of change.
And I've actually seen that over the last week of building these toolkits. I was able to get the CEO of the company online on the phone, and we're asking, hey, we really want to be able to offer this kind of a tool to the student. It's a little bit more cost effective. It's something that they really need, and it's going to be offered at a better rate rather than maybe this $300 or $400 thing that's offered right now. And he was totally on board, and it's going to happen, and it's going to happen in our kits.
Yeah, that's awesome. And quick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The availability to be able to make changes to these kits and to any of the tool lineup period within this tool company on a pretty decent basis is something that's going to be huge for not only the Nextech program, but SP Tools in general, to be able to grow even faster over the next couple of years. Being able to get that feedback from technicians, knowing how the tools are working in the field, being able to have that opportunity to see how things go, not just right after they buy it, but hey, this is going to be an open invitation to, here, how has the tool lasted over 2 years?
Right.
Because our hand tools already lifetime warranty, right? Yep, lifetime warranty. So why not offer the experience over the lifetime of that tool? Understand how it's working over that lifetime. So if there are some things that you find a year down the road, yeah, it's working, but not real great in this area. Well, that's the feedback that we want to get, to be able to re-engineer things, be able to come out with newer, better things down the road, rather than just trying to come up in my head as not an everyday technician anymore. We need to get the feedback from the everyday techs.
So what are some of the other say that again fast 3 times. So what are some of the other unique things about the Nextech program compared to what you experienced with Snap-on?
Being able to work face-to-face or on a phone call with a single person is going to be another thing. Like we were talking about earlier, just being that number in the book is what you kind of felt like. Yes, at times there at the school, they did have a student rep come in to be able to, see your needs, but it was more of the whole, dog and pony show, to be able to, shiny things here flashing in front of the students. Less about like, hey, let's build a kit that's more suited for your needs and what you're going to need down the road. The fact that we're going to be able to respond to students within a 24-hour period, that we're going to be able to pick up the phone and, hey, you're going to be able to, through the Nextech program, sit there and call me, and we're going to be able to work through getting you the tools and the kit that you are really needing, and maybe going through some advice for what kind of a program that you're in, or something that you're moving on towards in the career of your choice.
Did they have a dedicated website to the student program where you could log in and track your order stuff, track your orders, that kind of thing?
They had a login page, and it took about, I want to say usually about a week or two to be able to get access to even their site. And then after that, all you could do was order. There wasn't a contact or anything like that. You ordered the stuff that you want to, and then it says, okay, the order's sent out. I don't remember any kind of tracking. There was times at which, yeah, I ordered this huge list of tools, especially right before I graduated. I was smart enough at least to do that one. I ordered a huge list of tools right before I graduated, and got the tools, and I'm like, I'm missing this, and this. And I remember calling that tool company for weeks and weeks and weeks and got nothing back on, oh yeah, that's on intergalactic back order or something along those lines. And it eventually came, months down the road, but there wasn't any kind of interaction in between to be able to say, like, yes, what you ordered is coming.
Were there spend limits?
Absolutely. Also, that was the other thing. When I graduated, I wanted to be able to have the most amount of tools that I knew that I needed. I ordered the basic kit right when I started in school. And then obviously after 2 years of being in the program and working with a senior technician, then I pretty much had a good idea. And I knew what kind of tools that I was going to need over the next couple of years, and to that extent. Well, at that point, I had a couple grand in tool debt from what I had ordered on the first line of tools. And, it was a fairly decent discount. But then at the end of my student career, I wanted to be able to order everything that I thought I would have needed in the next 2 years of my student career. And I went to order that, and I remember this, I got halfway through my list, and I went to add something else to my cart, and it wouldn't add. What? Add this? No, you can't have that. No, it's on the list. Why can't I have it? Oh, you've maxed out your tool ordering limit. So not only am I limited by the kind of tools that I have, but I'm limited by the amount of tools that I can have too.
What was that limit?
I want to say it was, right now I want to say they're at like 11 grand, but at that time, I'm pretty sure that they were maxed out at $9,000.
So with Snap-on, that was a set of wrenches and 2 sockets?
You might have got a back scratcher in there.
There you go.
Snap-on branded back scratcher.
Yeah. That probably wasn't fair. Somebody's going to put a post on oh my God, I don't believe you said that. They were lying, and yeah, whatever. So what about the limitations on what you could buy? So there's an approved list. When you log into the website, there's an approved list of what you can or can't buy.
And again, the people who made these lists of tools, you could tell that they obviously weren't technicians, because they put these lists together and they made a bunch of different package deals and such. They put them together and they said, okay, here's your general automotive engine maintenance package. And it had a foam hammer in it and a whole bunch of circlip pliers. Half of these tools, like, I'm looking at it, and this was after the fact, looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I didn't use that for 2 years. I didn't use that for 3 years. Whoever built the stuff and the kits and the specials, they weren't technicians at all. They didn't know what they were doing. So the kits that they're building, they hope that it would cover a certain amount of people, but it definitely did not.
And or there's filler in there to make it to where it's profitable, right? So and all companies want to be profitable. We want to be profitable. That's not necessarily what the Nextech program is about.
Right, and I get that one, but at the same time, like your story that you said earlier on, where if I'm going to help out the student, obviously, if I'm going to put him in a better position than any other student that's using other tool programs, then down the road, they're going to have that same mentality that, hey, they helped me out. I want to be able to, not only return the favor, but keep continuing with a company that wants to invest in me and my future. At that point, why would you want to invest in the corporate branding?
And it actually goes deeper than that, College. I love this business. I'm ruined for doing anything else. And I don't honestly know anything else. You don't want to put a hammer in my hand and say, go build a wall. That's not my forte. So automotive is it. And I feel as though if I own a company that is in the automotive industry and we have a product line like we do, I think that we have an obligation to the industry to help the industry as a whole. And if we don't encourage younger technicians to join the workforce, shop owners all over the place, on every forum, on every social media platform there is, there's always a discussion about why it's so hard to find qualified technicians, why there's such a shortage of new technicians coming into the business, things like that. And I think as an industry, we have an obligation to see to it that we're encouraging those kids to come our way. If not, we don't have a business, we don't have an industry.
It is. It's something that's a lot harder for people who aren't in the industry to grasp that kind of knowledge right there. But when these students are coming in, they're already at a disadvantage. Comparing to the other, I guess, their friends who are going through college in different other education areas. They're like, yeah, I'm making the same amount, but I didn't have to buy $3,000 worth of tools. Yep, you sure didn't. But at the same time, those tools are going to be there and with you for life.
Right.
That aspect of being in a trade field is going to be with you for life. So they're going to be able to have that hands-on training. Just like we always say, once you're used to using your hands, it's going to transfer across any platform.
Right.
Somebody who's mechanically inclined is going to be able to fix your own faucet. You're going to fix your own, stuff at your house. Being able to fix your car is avoiding mass loads of stress in the rest of your life, because working at a dealership, I personally know that in the service area, it was always a doomsday situation. When you're selling cars, you are talking to people this is the best day of their life, because I just, signed the papers and they gave me this $40,000 car. This is the greatest thing ever. Well, when you go to the service department, it's now my worst day of my life, because my $40,000 car doesn't go anymore. I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know if I can trust whoever is working on it. I don't know their shop. It's going to cost me a lot of money. So why have that stressor now that you're an automotive technician? I know what's wrong with it. I know I can fix it. I know if somebody's trying to cheat me out of something, and I can fix it myself for 1/10 of the cost.
It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah.
So with Nextech, there's no limitations on what the students can buy or what they can spend.
Yep.
And then we also give them a grace period post-graduate.
Exactly, because for all intents and purposes of being a student, you may not understand exactly what you're doing in that job right at that point, or you might be in the point of like body work, where, hey, I know I'm going to be focusing on fiberglass work. I know I'm going to be doing metal work. So the different kinds of tools that you need for those different areas are going to be different. So for a period of up to 6 months after their graduation period is when they're going to be able to still get the student discount even after graduation. So their learning kind of continues on into their field. They're growing. They're, getting out of school, and they're continuing their education, but also being more or less tossed out of the nest. Here you go. Some of them even get tossed into the wolves' den of flat rate. Sorry to say, but it's eventually going to happen. So why not be able to help them out a little bit more that 6 months after their graduation point?
Just remember, hustle.
Always.
Hustle.
Always be doing something.
And free shipping with $250 or more, orders of $250 or more, correct?
Exactly. Especially when these students are going to be spending, upwards of a couple hundred to a couple of thousands of dollars. Why would you want to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on shipping? That's something else that we're going to be able to help the students out with. Anything over $250, ship for free.
Is it fair to say that our vision or goal for the Nextech program is to add the absolute utmost value that we can to what the student's buying?
The value to the tools, the value to the students' education, and the value to be able to project them into a career that's going to be able to help them their entire life. Being able to give them the hands-on experience the personalized experience that you can call into here and be able to talk to somebody, being able to get through your tool list exactly what you need, not wasting money. It's going to be something that every student is going to later on down the road thank themselves for making that decision.
So putting that in perspective for some of the people that are watching, we won't mention any names, but you put together a kit that is, you based it on a kit that is available from a leading competitor.
Yep.
And theirs was a 216 piece kit.
No, it was a 106 piece kit.
106 piece kit. How much money?
It was $1,950.26.
Student price.
Yep.
Okay. And our kit that we put together for that same student
was 216 pieces and was available for $1,950.25.
So you're getting almost double the pieces of tools.
Yep.
For essentially the same money.
The exact same amount of money.
Yeah.
And
so
that's something that we wanted to be able to give the students, where if you're going to be spending that money, why not give them tools that are actually going to be worth their time and are actually going to last and not look like I got this little tiny set in a backpack at the dollar store.
Right.
No, we want to give them quality tools that they aren't going to be disappointed in buying, or they're going to use for the rest of their career and not have a regret in what they've purchased.
And that's really SP's ethos is, built for the professional. So,
oh yeah.
That's something that the company believes in wholeheartedly. So we're delivering professional quality tools, at values that they're just not going to find in another tech school program.
And that's what I am absolutely going to be dedicated to this career. And that's what I'm most excited about, is to be able to not only help out SP Tools growing because I believe in the tool brand. If you guys have watched my YouTube channel before, I'm very passionate about the stuff that I know that works. I don't put out negative reviews. I never have on my YouTube channel. I always believe in the stuff that I do videos in is stuff that works. And SP Tools has been things that have, to certain circumstances, surprised me beyond what I ever thought in actually working.
So a lot of people are going to say you sold out, Kyle.
Trust me, I have seen the comments. I have absolutely seen all of the comments, the sellouts, the shills, and whatever you want to call it down the road.
How dare you?
Yeah. But you know what? I'm still smiling, and I can still sleep at night because I know that moving on in this portion of my career, I'm helping students out, and I'm going to be helping people out to better themselves, be able to focus on their actual career moving forward, and to give them better opportunities than even I had when I went through the same system.
And you're still going to be doing tool reviews. You're just going to be doing non-competitive tool reviews, and then
Right.
and then some other types of things. And the non-competitive stuff is really for the benefit of those naysayers
Right.
out there. Because we don't, you don't want to have a biased opinion or come across as having a biased opinion. And the easiest way to do that is, you focus on the stuff that SP doesn't offer, which is non-competitive.
Mm-hmm.
That way you still get to do all of the cool stuff that you like doing with the reviews without having somebody say, well, you only said that because you work for them.
Exactly, and that was one of the, stipulations upon coming here. What you guys learned from me and you learned about me on was through YouTube, and that was the catapulting aspect of my career was YouTube, being able to put that forward. So I felt a need that I absolutely have to be able to keep that within the certain bounds of not wanting to step on my own tail of where I'm working for. So the tool reviews and everything are obviously needing to change, but also for the people who don't know about the channel, it was such multifaceted in every single way that I didn't just do tool reviews. Now, I know a lot of people signed on for that, but at the same time, I was able to do builds on diesel trucks. I actually put my
We're planning another one, are we not? Didn't we talk about that at lunch?
That's right. We're going to be stealing his for a little bit.
That's right.
Doing a build on it. So we've got all kinds of builds to be able to put into these channels.
How about a Mustang? You want to do a Mustang with me?
I've got a hard aversion for oval things, but
I
would make
do too,
certain.
but a '66 Mustang is an exception to the rule.
I will make certain things happen. We'll put it that way. It's
Awesome.
got nuts. It's got bolts. I'll put it together and it'll run.
There you go. That's awesome. So, anything else that the folks need to know about the Nextech program? How they get a hold of you? How they learn more about the program?
Pretty simple. You're just going to go to sptoolsusa.com, or they've got a link there to the Nextech website. The website is going to be pretty easily manageable as well. You're going to be able to go through the application. You're going to be able to get yourself logged in fairly quickly. Like I said, we're going to be replying to any kind of applications or messages, emails pretty quickly within a 24-hour period on that line. And you can email me literally anytime, Kyle at CEASUSA.com. I'm sure they'll put that in the link below, as well as the phone number that will also be able to connect to the Nextech line as well, which I'll be the one answering.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
I really appreciate it, and this is something that I'm looking to grow, and this is going to be a great stepping stone in a new career.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Cutting Edge, and we're really grateful to have you. I know the team's excited about it. Emily says it's about time somebody brought some passion to this place. My God. Oh, my God. Lee's the only one with passion. That's not what she says.
Right.
That wasn't the term that she used. She called it something else. I refer to it as passion. She referred to it as something else. Can't even remember. So anyway, thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you again soon in the Cutting Edge Garage.